All right. Well, one more question here. One more question.
Morning, Ben. My name's Morgan Griffiths from Wales. Quick question regarding saunas. I'm on the verge of buying one and I can't decide between a traditional or an infrared sauna. Despite the many health claims of both, I can't find a lot of concrete evidence to actually support them, especially with infrared. My goals are obviously longevity, and because I'm a 51-year-old skateboarder, I want to recover quickly. So I just want to know what your thoughts are on both, and which way do you think I should go? Cheers.
Oh man, I just got back from Malibu where Laird and Rick and just all the homies in Malibu. They've all got their big dry barrel saunas, right? And I think part of that comes from Laird Hamilton, who considers infrared to be a little bit of a bastardization of traditional saunas, which I get. A lot of people from Finland think the same thing. You're missing out on the smoke, on the rocks, and yeah, it is true. It's kind of like working out with an old school barbell with some rusty plates versus being on some slick Nautilus machine at the gym. It's just like there's a different feel between the two, and it is true. There are some pretty significant differences, and as I'm explaining what those are, I should point out I have an infrared sauna. I have one of the clear light infrared saunas. It gets super hot. It's got the full spectrum heaters. I've got a red light panel in there, so I've got near red and far infrared. I have like a microcrystalline salt generator in there, a bunch of essential oils, good surround speakers. I'm happy with it, but I've thought about adding a dry barrel sauna outside just to have some of the dry heat too. It's just that my wife will disown me if I start adding more toys around the house. But I'm not opposed to the dry sauna. Now the temperature for a dry sauna, this is the main thing. It is hotter, right?
Much hotter.
My far infrared will get up to 154. And if I put one of those little rotating fans near the top of the sauna, there's a little bit of a hack. It'll blow the hot air back down. And if I warm that thing up for 30 to 40 minutes before I get in, I get a deep, deep sweat. Deeper than what I get from dry, but it goes on for a much longer period of time because it's deep penetrating infrared heat, right? And a lot of people don't heat their infrared saunas up enough, or sometimes just don't do things like, say, have like a fan in the top that I have that pushes the hot air down. The other thing I use is a lot of what's called embrocation cream, which you can get, if you go to Amazon and do a search for embrocation cream or skin warming cream. I've got this stuff called Prototype 8 that I use. It's from Australia, but I'll smear that all over my skin. A lot of times drink a hot beverage like black pepper tea or green tea or coffee before I get in the sauna. And I've never complained about being cold in my sauna. I get super hot in the infrared. So yeah, a dry sauna is going to be warmer, for sure. I mean, it's just, when a traditional sauna is heated properly, the walls are warm, the rocks are superheated. If you add a little bit of water to the rocks, that really increases the amount of steam, that raises the humidity even more, that makes it even more warm. But you can still, just because far infrared rays deeply penetrate the skin, get all the way into the joints. I was in there this morning sweating super deep. So I don't think the temperature issue is that much of a big deal. The heat up time is going to be kind of long for an infrared, but honestly, it's pretty long for a dry too. Like, to get a dry super hot, it's still 30 to 40 minutes. So I don't think that the heating time should influence your decision that much. The space, it depends. Like the infrared sauna I have, it'll sit like 6 people. A lot of times I'll have a bunch of cats over. We'll burn Palo Santo. Sometimes we're going to vaporizer in there. Bring a bunch of essential oils in there, put on some music. And just the other 2 nights ago, I had 6 people in there just sitting around doing just that. And then we all shuffle out and we go jump in the Morosco cold pool or out to the other cold pool I have out in the forest. But yeah, I mean, same thing with the barrel sauna, right? Like a barrel sauna is going to fit maybe 6 people comfortably. And you can get bigger dry saunas, custom big dry saunas, custom big infrared saunas. But I think the space is going to be similar between the two. As far as anything else to bear in mind, I like the fact that in an infrared you're getting near and far and red therapy. So you're getting all 3 forms of light, which I think is beneficial. I think on the flip side, a lot of the studies that have been done on heart health and longevity, like the Men's Finish longevity study, a lot of the studies on arthritis and pain relief, most of the studies on athletic recovery, blood building, the erythropoietin response, they've all been done in dry saunas. But considering that I have hefty use of a dry sauna and hefty use of an infrared, and as far as how hot I get, I really don't notice that much of a difference if I've adequately heated the infrared. I suspect that you get all the same, plus possibly, and I'm not getting, I realize I might sound biased because I own an infrared, but I'm just saying, like, if you had me choose at this point between the dry or the infrared, you're going to give me either one for free, let's say, I'd still probably choose the infrared just because I'm getting more out of it. I'm stacking more modalities when I'm in the infrared. So I think the infrared's the way to go personally, unless you're just super traditional. You like the smell, that smoky smell, the rocks, the dry heat of a dry sauna, and the fact that even though in an infrared sauna, if you stay in there like 20, 30 minutes, you're sweating just as much as a dry sauna. If you're looking at the first 15, 20 minutes, you are going to sweat more in a dry sauna. And if you're going back and forth from cold to heat to cold to heat, you will also experience that the dry sauna heats you up back a lot more quickly after the cold exposure, if that makes sense.
Yeah, what's the price? Do you know typically for what dry saunas cost? I know the price typically of infrared saunas, if you're getting a really good one like a Clear Light, from $4,000 to $6,000. But what about dry? Aren't they much more expensive?
I don't know. To get a dry barrel sauna, like a nice barrel sauna, I think it is more expensive than an infrared, but I don't have the price. I want to say you can get a dry sauna for like $3,000 to $5,000 maybe. You could probably get a big old finished barrel sauna for under $8,000, and the big infrared sauna I have, I think it's like $5,000 ish, something like that.
Right.
But yeah. I mean, either way, it's a little bit of an investment.
Yeah, indeed. And one of the things that I found, I don't know if your experience has been like this at all. I don't like what I'm about to mention because it limits the amount of modalities that I can include. But for me, I'll throw like my new calm on when I'm doing this. So I have an infrared sauna, full one like you do, but as well as an infrared blanket. And I have just found it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me. I'd love to hear what your kind of experience has been. But I actually, if I'm looking to sweat and be kind of the hottest that I can be between my two saunas, it's my blanket every time. And I don't know if I'm just weird like that or if it's just because the blanket like fully encompasses you, but I sweat like none other in that blanket.
I have one of those blankets, and if I ever get sick, like a little stomach flu or cold or flu-like symptoms, I wrap myself. It's called a higher dose blanket. I'll wrap myself in that blanket, get a bunch of bone broth, and just sweat buckets wrapped up in my bed. And it's uncomfortable, but that's my strategy. And I swear that the whole idea of hyperthermia, I mean, we know it works for freaking cancer. There are full-on hyperthermic treatment therapies for cancer. I've done them over in Europe. And that idea of wrapping yourself up in one of those big blankets, especially because it still allows you to lay in bed, that's also a pretty good strategy too. Or if you're super cheap ass, you can get some of those Mylar silver blankets and just walk around on a hot afternoon, cradled up in one of those. So hopefully that helps. I mean, not a super duper scientific discussion, but ultimately, it's pretty straightforward. And again, I'm gonna have to lean towards the infrared if I had to lean towards one or the other still, even though I get the whole tradition of the dry sauna. It's just I'm a bigger fan of what the ultimate results are, and when I can stack as many modalities as possible in an infrared, then I'd rather do that. So there you have it.